Brian, can you hear me okay? Good, okay.
How about me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you.
Okay, Alec, we're live. It should be good.
Yep, I'm just see the audio is going. See the video, no problem. Oh, let's see. Let's see if the audio is coming through. I do not hear the audio. I don't know if that's just me or if there's something else going on. It's definitely
Do you need somebody to sing loudly?
I'm sorry?
Do we need somebody to sing loudly? I vote for Ed Stiggles.
We have a few people on here who could do that. Who could sing.
Not me.
Not me.
Alec, I just tested the audio. It seems to be working fine.
Okay, great. Okay, perfect. All righty, give me just a second more to verify I've got everyone we need, and then we will get going. One more second. Okay. One quick check here. Okay. I believe we have, let's see, change my view here. All right, I believe we're ready to go. Welcome everyone to the September 1st, 2020 Edgemont Board of Education meeting. Do I have a motion to move us out of exec into public session? Marquita, second by Jennifer, all in favor? All right, we are in public session. So welcome everyone. Yes, our first order of business here to get out of the way is approval of the August 18th minutes from our regular meeting then. Do I have a motion to approve? Judy, second Marquita, all in favor? We are approved, thank you. We have no treasurer's report for today. So our next the item on the agenda is recognition of community. And before I hand it over to Victoria, just say, as has been our practice recently on these meetings, in terms of people having questions or comments that they want to make, we would ask that they would make them through the form that was posted on the instructions on how to join the meeting, and we will later in the meeting after the superintendent's report, we'll go back and take a look at those questions and comments. But we do have no, I did not know my video was not on, so thank you. I'm really not hiding. I've made it out of my basement, so I turned my video back on. So we do have a particular item for recognition of community. So I will first turn it over to Victoria.
Sure. Well, we are so excited to have students here with us this evening. 2 students who were recognized by Mrs. Ruda for their work in our ICAP classroom over the summer at EHS. And I know that Mrs. Ruda has your certificates. I don't know if you have been able to get them from her yet, but I know she does have physical certificates for you. And Alec, were you going to read the comments about them, or want me to turn it over to you? But I think the most exciting thing as we prepare for school is that we have students here with us this evening. So thank you, Chloe and Lindsay. Maybe if you could just introduce yourselves and give a wave so you pop up on everyone's screen.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I'm going to be a junior, and I have been working with the ICAP kids since 7th grade, and Lindsay has been working with them since she was in Greenville, but she can introduce herself. So you want to unmute?
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm also going to be a junior, and I've been working with the ICAP kids since I was in 5th grade at Greenville.
Great, thank you. Thank you, ladies. I will first start with just reading what Ms. Ruda said in her nomination for the 2 of you. She said, "I'd like to acknowledge a couple of students. Chloe Mendel-Dwork and Lindsay Top have asked to participate virtually with the ICAP students this summer. They take the time to create videos of art projects the students can do at home with recycled materials and participate in virtual read-alongs. They also asked to check in during the school year by sending friendly videos saying hello to the students." Now, for the board's purposes, she actually sent along a sample of one of the videos they did. And I just have to say, girls, I was both so impressed and so moved. It was really wonderful. And I can just imagine how well that would be received by the kids. It was really special. And I loved the way, you both, gave them all the information they needed, but just, it really felt like you were there with the students. And I can just imagine how well they would respond to that, especially over the summer when they couldn't be in person. So I just really want to thank you for doing that. And really, it was wonderful. So thank you so much. And as Dr. Nilo said, hopefully we'll get you your actual certificates soon enough. But thank you for that, and congratulations to both of you.
Congratulations. So wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we move on to the superintendent's report.
So we have a number of updates this evening, and actually we'll be tag teaming a bit, beginning with Alec Clark.
All right, thank you. So I just wanted to say a few things at the beginning. So the first thing is that from time to time we hear questions regarding how the board works, how decisions are made, and even what things are being decided versus which are being decided by the administration. And we think that's a topic worth dedicating some time to in these meetings to try and demystify some of what goes on outside of what is seen in the public portion of the board meetings. So we'll be starting to talk about the inner workings of the board with our next meeting on the 15th, but tonight I wanted to take just a few minutes to talk specifically about the board's role in the development of the district's reopening plans. One of the first things to understand about the division of responsibilities between the board and the administration is that the board is responsible for setting the vision and goals for the district, generally by way of putting policies in place, and the administration is then charged with the implementation of those policies. So in this particular case, the decision on how to handle the reopening is entirely within the purview of the administration. This is an operational decision, and technically the only way the board would be involved, would be required to be involved, is if the administration wanted to move money between budget areas to pay for the additional costs, or if they wanted to make use of our fund balance to pay for some of these emergency costs. But other than that, they would have the ability to make all of the decisions regarding reopening without board consultation, as there have been no board approvals needed to specifically related to the reopening plan. But having said that, the board has been working with the administration throughout the planning process in a number of ways. First, board members have participated along with students, parents, faculty, and staff in several of the reopening committees. Second, once the administration put together their reopening plans across all of the different areas, health, safety, schedule, curriculum, et cetera, they provided the board with an overview of the plan and their detailed vision, asking for our feedback on the plans themselves and the best way to communicate those plans to the community. Third, since board members are all Edgemont residents, we've had many discussions with community members and have provided the feedback that we've gotten to the administration. We've also had multiple board members in attendance at every community forum so that we can hear the questions and concerns of the community firsthand, so we can continue this partnership with the administration, especially given that we're under such a tight timeline. So please be assured that the plan to reopen the schools has been guided by our administration, who, drawing on their expertise in educating students in a safe and secure environment, have adapted and adjusted to enable us to do that in these challenging circumstances. But it is something that has been done in collaboration with all of the Edgemont community, and especially hand in hand with the board. Hand in hand being virtually, that is, and with gloves and masks on. The other thing that I want to mention tonight is some work that our policy group within the board is doing, since we're sort of talking about what are the roles of the board versus the administration. Creation of policy and changing to policy is one of the board's areas. Tonight our policy group has been working on some changes to one, so I'm going to turn it over for a little bit to Jennifer DeMarais, who's going to talk about one of the policies that's being worked on right now. Jennifer?
Thanks, Alec. We just wanted to give people a heads up. This is not going to be on the agenda until our next meeting, but with school started, we wanted people to be aware of a couple of key COVID-19 related changes that we're working on for the Code of Conduct. First, as we've talked about at length, everyone's going to be required to wear a mask while on school property, with some limited mask breaks for students and teachers, but masking is going to be required. Second, students are going to be expected to follow the health and safety mandates from the state and county Department of Health, both on and off campus. Off-campus behavior affects the health and safety of our school community. So we ask the students to follow those. Finally, students who are learning remotely are going to be expected to have their cameras on and to be present just as if they were in the live classroom. As I mentioned, the specific changes will be presented at the next board meeting. Community will have an opportunity to ask questions and to make suggestions at that time.
Thank you, Jennifer. And at this point, I'd like to turn it back to Victoria.
Thank you all. For the rest of this superintendent's report, it will be a combination of myself along with some comments from Paul Garofano and from the three principals, Eve Feuerstein, Jennifer Allen, and Kyle Hosier. As you know, we continue to prepare to welcome our students in person on Monday, September 14th, with approximately 50% in the morning and approximately 50% in the afternoon. The balance of what's best for students academically, socially, emotionally, and health and safety is our goal, and we are continually working on that balance. We know that students learn best when they feel connected, and that connectedness is our focus question as our teachers continue their professional learning and planning. And that question is, during the time of COVID and hybrid learning, how do we build and strengthen classroom and school communities where all students feel included and all students learn? We know that this school year will present challenges for our dedicated, compassionate teaching staff, and we will continue to make our way through the challenges to make a difference for all students. We appreciate the patience and grace of this community throughout this journey. As part of the reopening plan, I just want to bring your attention back to the reopening website before I turn it over to the principals, because as new items are added, we will be adding them. Ryan, do you mind sharing, or can I share? I was going to the reopening website. Is it better for you to share or to allow me to share?
I'm going to allow you to. Give me 1 second.
Okay, thanks.
You should have permission to do so.
Thank you. Are you able to see the website? Thank you. So if you scroll down on the website to the Edgemont reopening website, on the first page, you will find the reopening plan. The specific details we have been working on is, what does returning to school look like for a student who may have been ill? So what we have done is linked a flow chart. I know that there are a couple of typos still on this chart. We were finalizing it today, but I just wanted to show you where it was. So of note is, when a student or staff member has positive symptoms for COVID, whether or not they're test negative, whether or not they had a test done at all, or whether they had a positive COVID test, there is going to have to be a written note stating that they're clear to return to school by their healthcare provider. So that is something that we're going to be counting on the partnership of our parents to follow the return to school protocol, again, whether or not there was a positive test. If there is a positive test, there will be a requirement of 2 consecutive negative tests before return, including a written note stating that the child was cleared to return. And when I think about partnerships with parents, and in addition to our partnerships academically, in terms of health and safety, but also in terms of making sure that the vaccinations are up to date. We've been working with our school physician and our nurses to work on that as well. So the safer and healthier everyone who comes to school, the longer we will all be able to be in school together. So that's just one update to our plan on the website. And we do continue to update the FAQs, as well as reorganize as additional information gets added. We reorganize to make it more accessible, easier to be searched by parents. That being said, we are also working on a decision-making tree for looking at not only the return to school, but if we do have a positive case in school, what is the level of closure? So the level of closure will be dependent upon not just about whether or not one student or one staff member test positive, but also what the transmission rate is in the county. So at this point, since we have such a low transmission rate, we would be looking at closing a classroom, closing an area where the person had been, disinfecting, and then reopening that area. Of course, that would change if the transmission rate was moderate or significant in the county, but we are finalizing all of those decision trees with the Department of Health. So those are kind of the newest ads. It's been exciting to walk through the buildings. We've had health and safety walkthroughs each building to see different signage around the building, as well as lines, the 6 feet lines, and socially distanced desks, but mostly the excitement of the new teachers who started yesterday. We had our mentoring day with both the mentors and the new teachers on campus and touring around all 3 schools. So that was exciting this week. So with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Paul Garofano first for a technology update, and then the principals.
Great, thank you, Victoria. Good evening, everybody. Needless to say, me and my department are always busy in the summer. We're always excited about getting ready for all of our students and teachers to come back, and this summer was no different. I just want to touch on a couple of new initiatives and projects that we worked on this summer, both as projects that either needed to be done or that needed to be done in anticipation of returning under these circumstances. In July, we completed a major network infrastructure project, which ultimately will help our network run faster, be more reliable. We doubled our bandwidth across the district to 1 gigabyte. For health and safety, we reallocated all the shared devices from the high school, and we've moved them down to the elementary schools, both because we didn't receive our one-to-one devices for our 5th graders, and we needed more devices for our K2 students. We've equipped every classroom with a webcam for remote learner access, and we've re-imaged and upgraded all of our PCs in the district to the newest version of Windows. On top of all of our regular projects, these were some additional projects. So with regards to loaners, we were fortunate enough during closure that we had extra devices, and we were able to supply devices to families that needed them for remote learning. However, because we are waiting on an order of approximately 185 devices that are delayed because of high demand and low supply in manufacturing, we're not going to be able to offer any loaners until that shipment comes in. Last I was told that delivery will come in sometime in December or January, but maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe they'll ramp up manufacturing. And as soon as we get those devices in, we will be able to offer loaners to students that need them for remote instruction. We have such a low number of extra devices just to maintain the day-to-day where Chromebooks break and we take the broken device and we give the student a new device to use while we fix that one. Another piece of information we got today from the Lyric, which is the Lower Hudson Regional Information Center, is a bandwidth conservation consideration document. most of the districts in the lower Hudson region use their internet through the Lyric. So under normal circumstances, they have more than enough bandwidth to supply all of the districts, but understanding there's going to be so much streaming going on, which is just unprecedented. They've given us a list of considerations for streaming, which we just started processing today. And we're going to sort of process as an administration and as a faculty, and we're going to make some slight changes to how we're going to conserve. And we're really in this together with all of the school districts. So conservation of one district is really conservation for all of the districts in our region. And what we don't want to happen is for all of the districts to go down. And that's why they released these streaming considerations. So this is something we're processing and we'll be talking about and releasing some more information in the days to come.
Thank you, Paul. And now I would like to turn it over to Eve Feuerstein, who's going to give some Sealy Place updates.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to speak about some updates from Sealy Place. Our faculty and staff are beginning to return to the building, and the energy and excitement is back in the halls of Sealy Place. On Monday, we welcomed 3 new teachers and 1 new teaching assistant to Sealy Place as part of our new teacher orientation. We have posted pictures to the Greenville and Sealy Facebook page, which we hope you will take a look at. Tomorrow, we plan to post some photos of some of the construction that is being completed at the school, which includes new bathrooms at Sealy Place. This has been about 50 years in the making. Our classrooms are set up to welcome back students with desks facing forward and placed 6 feet apart. We would like to take a moment to thank our custodial team for their hard work in these preparations. It is an unbelievable task. As of today, and note that this number is actually changing daily, we are planning to welcome 480 students to Sealy Place this school year. We will have a total of 58 students learning remotely at the start of school, which represents just about 12% of our population. We will have students returning to school in the AM cohort or the PM cohort, and we were able to fulfill approximately 97% of the almost 325 parent or guardian requests that we received for placement in either the AM or PM cohort. That's a lot of emails, but the best part of that is having the opportunity to connect with those families as we approach a year that will look very different than any year before. Another way that we've been connecting is welcoming new families who have contacted us or who we've been in touch with to visit Sealy Place to meet us so that the students have a familiar face as we begin the school year. In addition, as we did last year, we shared our Sealy Place back to school communication list with families today, which is our way to provide families with all of the information that they will need in one spot as their children head back to school. You can also find this list on our homepage. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our faculty and staff who have worked so hard this summer in preparation for the school year. I am so unbelievably impressed by the effort of our faculty and staff throughout the summer to be present, communicative, innovative, honest, and forward-thinking. Whether it is working with us to prepare schedules for each grade level or participating in professional development, they are partners with us in this unbelievable journey. We are excited for the return of our teachers and students, and our Sealy spirit is palatable. We will get through this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Eve. And Jennifer Allen will give an update for Greenville.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. So we too have been in lots of preparation, and I cannot thank my administrative colleagues, our teachers, and our amazing custodial staff for the Herculean task that has been before them. Teachers have been coming in all week. Custodians have gotten all of the rooms set up. We have a whole series of brand new photos of all the different classrooms set up that we're going to be posting shortly on Facebook to show how great the rooms look, and the teachers have been in all week working on setting up and preparing and are very excited about welcoming our students. We've had some exciting efforts that we've undertaken to try to welcome our new students. Typically, by now, our kindergarten students would have already been in the building, and unfortunately, we weren't able to do that. So we had some very exciting online kindergarten welcoming forums that were terrific as a way to meet the incoming kindergartners and their parents, and were just extremely adorable, as you can imagine, having these clusters of adorable 4-year-olds and their parents sharing their favorite toys or stuffed animals or stories about what they've done this summer. It was really great. And we're working on a way to get those kindergartners in person, because obviously one of the differences this year for all students is the inability of the parents to accompany them into school. And we really want to try to lessen anxiety and get the kids just very focused on the excitement of school and not any kind of anxiety, as well as their parents. So we're making plans for new students and kindergartners to be able to visit school and lessen that anxiety. And we're working on ways to try to do that for all students to make the transition into school as anxiety-free and exciting as possible. We too have one new full-time teacher, Ms. Rojas, who we're extremely excited about welcoming, and a terrific new band teacher, Dr. Nir Naman, that will be working at both schools, and we're extremely excited that they're joining our staff. As for the cohort information, we are welcoming actually 561 students into Greenville this fall, between our 7th grade levels and our 2 ICAP homerooms. So we're very excited about that. We do have a heavier distribution of AM students to PM, which is the result of having been able to honor just over about 98% of the requests for AM attendance, which was heavier. Our fully remote student population is, I believe, the largest number of the 3 schools, because we have 110 students who have opted for a fully remote option. And we've also worked on balancing those groups, because we really want them to be able to build a sense of community with each other, even if they're in a fully remote, have selected the fully remote option, by having fellow students who are in the fully remote cohorts with them. So we've tried to balance that as well. That represents actually almost 20% of our student body that will be remote, but we're excited about welcoming them in as participants in our full program, collaboratively, and forming partnerships with each other and with our students in school. So I think that's it. And back to you, Victoria. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jennifer. And turning it over to Kyle Hosier.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's my pleasure to provide several planning highlights regarding the upcoming school year at the junior-senior high school. With each passing day, we are able to answer more questions and develop more detailed plans for the start of school. I'd like to share several of these updates with you now. We have 1,004 students at the junior-senior high school this year. We have approximately 150 students who will be fully remote. As you may know, we released AM/PM cohorts last week. At last count, we had 462 special requests for an AM or PM cohort. We were able to accommodate 367 cohort requests, or approximately 80% of the requests we received. I want to thank Ms. Johnson and Ms. Joseph for all of their hard work with these cohort requests. On Monday, we had the pleasure of welcoming newly hired teachers to the district as part of our new teacher orientation, including 4 new teachers at the junior-senior high school. We think we have an excellent group of teachers joining our team this year. Also on Monday, our junior high counselors, Ms. Matano and Ms. Moore, welcomed our incoming 7th graders and led small groups on a tour of the campus. Needless to say, the tour only heightened students' excitement for the upcoming school year. And we have additional tours planned this Thursday for incoming 7th graders. On Tuesday, we conducted a campus health and safety walkthrough with the board members, PTSA code presidents, custodians, faculty, staff, and administration. The primary focus of our walkthroughs were on physical spaces, ventilation, and new safety procedures. We will also be sharing pictures of classrooms, the library, the cafeteria with the community later in the week. Today, all of our counselors held a virtual orientation for new families and students. The counselors provided a detailed overview to help introduce the junior senior high school to our 25 new students and families. Counselors will lead tours for new students tomorrow afternoon. While we still have work to be done before the start of school, we are accomplishing more and more each day with the help of our custodians, faculty, staff, and admin team. We're looking forward to welcoming teachers back next week and our students back on September 14th. We know the year will have challenges and require flexibility, but we also believe the year has a lot of promise and opportunity. We can't wait to get started. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you all. It's very exciting to see so much of our planning start to become operationalized. And as I said, I know we have a lot of challenges ahead, but this team has of faculty, administration, custodians, clerical, everyone has been working together in an amazing way to handle all of these challenges. So thank you all. And I'm turning it back over to Alec.
Okay, sorry, go on mute. Thank you, Victoria. I want to start with just basically echoing some of the comments that you and the principals have made. This has been a, Jen stole my comment, Herculean effort to get things to where they are today. Just the amount of effort just first to come up with a plan has been mind-numbing. So I want to start with the administration for working virtually around the clock to sort of put together the plan and get us to the point where we had something to actually work on to execute. And then, of course, and there are, of course, lots that we talked about before, lots of people collaborating on the plan all throughout the community. But then once it got to the point where we actually started to need to do the logistical pieces of putting it in place, it's been all hands on deck from, as people have said, from all parts of the district, whether it's the custodians, the staff, the clerical, the teachers, everyone has just pitched in and done what they've had to do. And I know we as a board are so incredibly appreciative. And I want to also particularly mention, the teachers, because this is normally their time off. This is their time to, decompress, spend time with their families and get prepped for the new year. And that hasn't happened so much this year. They've, again, between being involved in the planning phases, between doing tremendous amounts of professional development to try and understand how to do this, and basically working on reinventing education. How do we teach in this environment, which is going to look completely different than anything we've done before. So that's been a huge effort, and we just can't thank them enough for the effort they've been putting in to try and get us ready for the 14th. And then I guess my last comment on that point is that we have what we think is an incredibly well thought out plan, one that we're very optimistic will satisfy the dual goals of providing the students with the kind of education that we expect to provide our Edgemont students, while simultaneously trying to keep the entire community safe. But having said that, there is no possible way this will go off without glitches, right? It's just physically impossible. We've never done this before, and certain amount of practice, but you can't really practice something like this until you're actually doing it and have your full cohorts of students and there are going to be, there are going to be technical glitches. There are going to be things that, looked good on paper that when we first try them out, we're going to say, maybe that's not working as well as we thought. But know that we will be constantly evaluating everything that happens. If there are glitches, then we'll be looking at, are there ways we can put safeguards in place to keep those glitches from happening again? Are they training issues? Again, if there are things that approaches that we built into the plan that we look at and we said, that's just not working as well as we thought it would, then we'll be reevaluating and adjusting and iterating through constantly, always looking to improve wherever we can improve. So our ask to the community is to please just understand that. Have some patience. If you see things where you think you have constructive feedback, then by all means, let us know. Start with your teacher, talk to your teacher, but just please try to understand that we know that there are going to be things that go wrong, and we will be working continually to improve upon those. So thank you very much for listening to me on that, and I believe there's nothing else in terms of updates, are there, Victoria, from you?
No, that's it. Thank you, Al.
Okay, so I'm going to go to our sheet and see if we have any questions from the community.
Alec?
Yes,
Alec,
please.
can a board member ask a question, please?
Please.
How? I have a quick question, and I cannot use the opportunity not to say thank you to all of you. You guys have been amazing. I know this has been just an unprecedented job that you guys have needed to do, and I couldn't be more proud of our district and everything you guys are doing. So despite what tomorrow brings, and we do not know what tomorrow brings, I know that as a team, you guys were going to come up with a great solution, and we're really, really super impressed with you guys. So thanks for that. And for my question, I just wanted to know, how did our enrollment numbers change from last year?
So I don't have.
May I jump in,
I don't know if
Victoria?
anyone has the total in front of them. Yes, please, Brian. Thank you.
Sure. As of mid last week, we were up to 2,056 students in the district. I heard Kyle say earlier that we just cracked 1,000 at the junior senior high school, which I think is for the first time. I'm looking at our handy chart here. As of Beds Day last year, we were 2,053 in the district. Although I'm not sure that the 2056 I just gave you accounts for the new students who are here today on campus. But I think that we have had a lot of new registrations. We also have had some students leave the district as well.
Thank you.
Any other board questions, comments? Okay, and I will now go and look at the spreadsheet. We actually only have a couple of questions this time, so I will read them. Let's see. So the first one says, how does the plan to offer the YMCA childcare program during school hours in the lunchrooms intersect with the possibility of having full day K through 2? Do we still have room for all kindergartners, first graders, and second graders to be in the elementary schools at the same time if the lunchrooms are now unavailable to be used to space the students out? If that YMCA program means that full K2 has become less likely and possible, I understand. It would be helpful to know for our own planning.
So the possibility of kindergarten through second grade being full-time has very much been in our conversations and in the forefront of our thinking. But as we've said in our communications, that's going to require an evaluation of how it's going, how the hybrid model works for those students. And we definitely did consider that in providing an opportunity for daycare for those parents who need it. And yes, there still is room for K2 to go full day if that's the decision that's made.
Next question is, what will happen for noon dismissal days, such as the day before Thanksgiving?
So the day before Thanksgiving is scheduled for part of our emergency training. So we do have to look at, we do have to fulfill our emergency training requirements. So we will have to look at the hours necessary and the process necessary, and we will communicate that with parents.
At this point, we have no other community questions, so I'll circle back to see if anyone in the board has thought of anything else that they'd like to ask or any comments they'd like to make before we move on to the rest. Yeah, Nilesh.
Yeah, hi. This comment is for Paul. Paul, you mentioned that loaner devices won't be available maybe till December. And my question is that if existing, if a student breaks the Chromebook or it goes bad, will the student have option of substituting that with their personal laptop because we are short of loaning devices? And is there a room for people to kind of substitute that with any personal laptops in interim?
Sure. Yeah. When a student, as it stands now, and as it will stand moving forward, when a student has a device that's in need of repair, ranging from a cracked screen to broken trackpad or what have you, we take that device, we give them either a new or a used one, and they keep that device. We have had some families who have either heard through the grapevine that we're waiting for devices and we're short on devices, and they have very generously offered to have their students bring in their personal devices and have given us their one-to-one Chromebook devices back. And at this point, every Chromebook helps because, again, we really are trying to keep up and make sure that all of our students and staff, at least at school for now, are equipped. So we're hoping that trend continues.
Thank you. And I just want to compliment on the network upgrade that you have done, because I did hear that there were a lot of, pockets which are like, had a weak Wi-Fi signals. And I'm delighted to hear that we have upgraded the network, which is so crucial to conduct our remote sessions. And thanks for kind of stepping up and increasing that bandwidth and the network capability.
Sure, and I'll extend those thanks to my staff. They really have been working tirelessly this summer to ensure that everything is up and running.
Thank you.
Marquita, is that you?
Yes, so I'll ditto everybody's thanks, and I really appreciate not just the work this summer, but also the plethora of communications for everyone and answering all the questions. It's now gotten us to the point where we only have two, which is, a major shift. The question I have, Victoria, has to go back to the thing you presented up front, which I think is just going to be, a little bit of a kind of a tough thing to navigate, right? I mean, as we think about kids starting to have strep throat again and starting to have all these other things that result in a cough. It's not really a COVID cough, it's a different kind of cough, or a stomach bug. It's not really a COVID, so it's a different kind of bug. So to just ask a very kind of a specific question, if a child has any of these symptoms that is on the list, it sounds like we need to take them to a doctor. That the idea of they just have the sniffles, or they just have the the typical sniffles, postnasal drip cough, doesn't really work this year. Is that correct?
So that's my understanding. I continue to work with the school physician on that because I can't break apart the symptoms as well as a physician would be able to. But I'm curious, as a non-medical professional, will we all be getting sick less because we're wearing masks more? So I'm just curious, like, what will the flu season be less intense because we're wearing masks, or will the cold season? I know people in my family who are sick all the time typically get colds, haven't been sick since March, and they always have a cold. So to answer your question, I think healthcare providers are going to be our key partners through this, and we'll continue to get answers from them. I know it's a hardship because it's going to be a hardship for parents.
Well, I think the important thing is, I think, now that telehealth is being used, I can see that being kind of a tool. So if we are explicit with people about the fact that they need to kind of create those appointments, that'll be helpful for everybody to make sure they know to do that when their kid starts to have those symptoms. Because what I would not want people to do is to not express the symptoms, keep somebody home for a couple of days, and then not check in. I think it'd be preferred for everyone to just have the app kind of be updated, and then have the ability for somebody to check in with the.
Right, we will continue to work on that specificity because that will be important. Thank you.
Judy.
I'm just wondering if there are local pediatricians with whom we've been in contact to assess what their procedures are going to be, because if they're being asked to clear a child, a patient of theirs, it might be helpful for us to know what the protocols are from their perspective.
So that they are the ones, so it was a number of school district physicians who did collaborate on this document. So it was created by a number of physicians, but do you mean from their perspective? Do you mean what will they give back to us? Because this is what they said should be in place.
I just wanted to bring out the fact that the consultation has been done in conjunction with local pediatricians, because I think that's helpful for parents to understand that there are local pediatricians who have vetted this plan and the process by which we are going to be proceeding.
They have, but it certainly would be helpful to continue to get a few more just to weigh in terms of providing the specificity Madikita was just mentioning as well. It's a great idea.
Thank you.
Any other board members? We have had one more question pop up in the spreadsheet, so there's no one else on the board right now. Monica, is that your hand? Or is that from before? Okay. Okay, so the question that is here says, why did the district decided to go with half days instead of alternate days? We're the only district in the county with half days and no transportation. What are on-location working parents supposed to do when childcare options are unreliable and unaffordable? An alternate day option would have been easier to manage on all aspects. While having children present in school daily benefits them, marking it unrealistic for parents has a direct negative effect on the children. This is so unfair to working parents that can't afford additional expenses. The board should have considered what works for everyone and not some or most. Before I turn it over to the administration to sort of address the specifics of the decision-making process around the plan that was put forward, I guess I have to sort of take exception with the last sentence saying the board should consider what works for everyone and not some or most. By definition, there is no plan that works for everyone perfectly. That was some of the decisions. In some ways, it has to be what works for the most, simply because there's no such thing as a plan that will work perfectly for everyone. There just isn't. So we almost by definition have to go with what works the best for the most, gives the most benefit to both the students and recognizing the issues that any of these plans cause for their parents. And so with that, I'll turn it back up. Yeah, Judy?
I just wanted to note, though, that there was a lot of discussion that did involve concern for the burden that this would place on how the differing plans would place burdens on working parents. But I will let Victoria address ultimately what drove the decision. But I want to really emphasize that there was an enormous amount of empathy and consideration for the extraordinary challenges that working parents are facing in this district, in every district.
Right. So if I could add that these decisions were made in consultation with parents, with teachers. We held parent forums as we were discussing it. But what we learned from the spring from parents is that continuity was very important, that students knowing their schedule every day and what they were going to do every day was very important. The half-day model also prevents students from having to wear masks all day. It prevents students from having to eat in school, which was a bigger health and safety coordination and also consideration as far as all of the other, I think that the academics and the connectedness that can happen every day as opposed to a full off day. So I would say that consistency, having the schedule every day as well as the health and safety were big considerations. I don't know if anyone else would like to add to that. And in addition, we absolutely recognize the childcare concerns, and that's why we have been partnering with community agencies, so the Greenville Church, as well as the YMCA. And that also is why we were looking at trying to get additional students in full day if our protocols and practices lead to that type of decision making. But I don't know if anyone else would like to add that. Kyle?
Thanks, Victoria. I would add that we recognize how challenging this is for families, and that's not lost on us. I think that's why we try to offer the hybrid request cohort option to so many families to see if we could make that a little more palatable. I do want to note that based on my last conversations with colleagues in Bronxville and Chappaqua, that's my understanding that they also have an AM/PM model. We do speak with colleagues in nearby districts all the time, and I think that the AM/PM model, when we surveyed the community, there was far greater support for the AM/PM model versus an alternating day model. And again, we know kids need the structure, so having kids on campus every day, we see a huge value there. That's not to say that it's perfect or that it works for everyone, but we do believe, to Alex's point, that it's the best approach for the majority of the students we have and for families.
Thank you, Kyle.
Anyone else in administration or the board like to comment on that? I also just want to say, I mean, while I clearly cannot speak to any particular family's, their own financial situation. For example, the places we've partnered with, the YMCA and the Greenville Church, those particular childcare options, I know from having talked to the head of the Greenville Church one, they're not making any money off this. They're basically offering it at cheaper than babysitting rates. If you were just to try and go out and hire a babysitter for your child for the same amount of time, it would cost you more than they're charging for this. So again, I can't speak to what anyone personally can afford, but they are incredibly reasonable rates for what's being offered. Yeah, Eve.
One thought that I just had is, and as a working parent myself, I absolutely understand these concerns. I too do not know how my children are getting home from school every day. And what I'm going to look to do is to see who's in my children's cohorts, to see who I can work with on drop off and pickup. That's coming soon. But what I was thinking for this parent, and I say this to all the parents who may be struggling, reach out to your building administrator. Maybe we can help you. Maybe we can work with you on who's in your cohort, who may be a neighbor, who might be able to support with pickup. You know, we always try to encourage carpooling, and I know that we are in a pandemic, so we need to be careful about who we're getting in cars with, but we may be able to help connect you with another family who might be in a similar situation. Let us try to help if you're feeling overwhelmed by this, because we're in this with you and we're here to help you. And I can't wait to welcome your students back every day, because that is a gift beyond gift for our students and our learners. So, and what I do understand is that the PTA is also looking at ways to help support parents and in identifying who's in which cohort. So please, if there are parents that are listening, let us help you and reach out so that we can support you as we go through this together.
Thank you, Eve.
Okay, anyone else have anything they'd like to add to that? All right, well, that looks like we have addressed all of the questions that are in the spreadsheet. So I believe that brings us up to the next part of the agenda. So I think, Victoria, since we have someone here tonight, I'd like to start with, well, next up on the agenda is G, but I'd like to split the two, if we could.
Sure. So we'll take number one first. And that I ask the board's approval for Gina Kim, Science Olympiad Advisor at the junior senior high school, retroactive to her work last year.
Motion approved. I have Marquita, second by Judy, all in favor. We are approved. Thank you. And now
Great, thanks. And we're pleased to have Charlene Holness with us on the call, on the Zoom call. And Charlene, I don't know if you want to say hi, or maybe we'll congratulate Charlene. I would like to ask the board's approval for the appointment of Charlene Holness as treasurer. And Charlene, as you know, will be replacing Lisa Herlihy in the business office, and we're excited to have Charlene join us with her business experience and her school experience.
So I have a motion to approve. I have Monica, second by Nilesh, all in favor. It's approved. Thank you all. Welcome, Charlene. I don't know if you want to just say a brief hello.
Or if you're able to unmute and turn on, but we're so happy to have you on board.
Welcome. Okay, then with that, we are basically to the consent portion of the agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like either to take separately or would like to ask any questions or make any comments before we vote on them? Okay, then Victoria, if you'd like to take the rest.
Yes, I'd like to ask the board's approval of H students, number 1, I business, numbers 1 through 10.
Do I have a motion to approve? Nilesh, second to Monica, all in favor? So they are all approved. Thank you very much. That brings us to scheduled meetings. Our next meeting will be on September 15th. That will be a change as our administration, teachers, and students migrate back to school. So will the Board of Education. So starting with the next meeting, the board will be meeting in person in the LGI as in our practice in the past. The public is welcome to join us. Obviously, if you come, you will need to be masked and maintain social distancing within the LGI when you come. We are going to continue the streaming of the meetings, so you do not need to come to be able to participate. I mean, this was something that we had been hoping to do for quite a while by the board, and then obviously the pandemic sort of forced us to do that, but we've clearly seen the benefit of tremendously expanding the ability for the public to participate. I mean, I was just looking at the past recording from the past meeting. We've actually, the last I looked, had over 1,200 people who had viewed it versus the sometimes handful of people that show up in person to a board meeting. So it's clearly adding value to be able to stream these. So we will continue to do that. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn? I have Judy, second Jennifer, all in favor. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much. We'll see you.
Thank you all. Have a good night. Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everyone.